And we're joined by Chong Ja Ian, Associate Professor at the Department of Political Science from National University of Singapore. Professor, it was the first sit-down between Trump and Xi in 6 years. How do you think today's talks will affect global trade? And if positive, are there indications that they could be sustained?
So, I hope that they're positive. I think many people also hope so. But whether the whole arrangement is sustainable, that is the big question. I think that's what everybody is also right to ask about, because we have seen President Trump make other deals that he then changed his mind about or walked back on. It seems also that it's a tactic for him to keep negotiating and renegotiating to put his interlocutors on a back foot. So while things look positive for now, whether they signal a positive trajectory going forward, we don't really know. We know that fundamental issues of US-PRC competition, of the sort of mutual suspicion between the two sides, those have not been resolved. So there is certainly a chance for backsliding, and there's a chance for reneging. And of course, we know that General Secretary Xi, also pushes back hard. So there can be a big change after all this. And besides, there are no details. So we'll really have to see. We'll wait and see.
As you mentioned, there is potential for backsliding, though it's ideal to see the agreements made today sustain. And as you mentioned, Mr. Trump and Xi is known for quite unpredictable policy changes when it comes to this tit for tat. So what's to keep both sides from snapping back to their regular tit for tat tariff row?
Frankly, that's the real issue of concern. There's nothing to keep them from snapping back. And that's the concern. They could decide that the deal isn't worth it. They could change their mind. Some other event could come up and they figure, well, parts of the deal that they made, that can be up for renegotiation. Besides, I think everybody should recall that there no real details here. Nothing has actually been signed. We've seen other frameworks like this before, the most recent being earlier this year. And then, things took a nosedive. So, I guess those of us who are watching and following, we would like more predictability, but we need to be prepared for the volatility that comes with US-PRC relations today.
Mm-hmm. And talks did take place as China's economy showed signs of slowing down. Now, as you mentioned, though, it's still quite volatile. Could we interpret this as a leverage towards the U.S. in any way?
So, the PRC economy is definitely slowing down. They would like to have better trade relations, but they are also adjusting and trying to make themselves more self-reliant. That's been a big theme for the PRC, especially under General Secretary Xi's tenure. So, the slowdown, that could be a dampener, but that I don't think it will sort of stop the PRC from moving ahead. We've seen the statements coming out from the fourth plenum, a little bit earlier, where it's really an effort to sort of drive ahead for the PRC. Of course, whether they succeed or not is a different story, but certainly there's the intention of pushing forward.
All right. And the Trump administration has been touting soybeans buy and a pause on rare earth licensing as major wins for Washington. But do these really shift the balance to the U.S.'s favor?
This is why I initially I said, these arrangements seem to be surrounding sort of more temporal, more proximate kinds of issues. The soybean buy, yes, it will help out U.S. Farmers, but the PRC can impose them again quite quickly should they want to. The rare earth restrictions, same thing. They seem to have some sort of arrangement right now, but it's relatively easy for the PRC to reimpose them just like they did the first time around. So, these are reversible arrangements, which is why I think there is some, I guess, why I'm a little bit less confident that, we are, safely on a sort of positive trajectory.
But the U.S. often casts itself as a mediator, that is, of global tensions. But today, during talks, Mr. Trump avoided sensitive issues like Taiwan and the South China Sea. Now, is this deliberate to avoid a pending trade negotiations?
So I think it is deliberate. These are issues that I had alluded to earlier, that basically it's not possible for Beijing or Washington to come to any agreement anytime soon. So what they seem to be focused on are the possible wins, the ones that, over sort of immediate issues right in front of them, rather than these sort of really difficult to handle tricky issues that involve many stakeholders and draw in multiple sets of interests on both the PRC and the US side. So, those things remain up in the air. You're right to sort of point to them as a potential sort of area of caution because the unexpected developments from those sorts of issues, South China Sea, Taiwan, etc., they can potentially derail whatever understanding that Xi and Trump have made today.
Mm. And if this trade truce does hold, how will the U.S. balance its thawing ties with China over other Asian interests?
So that's a good question. I mean, there's several interests. Not all of them are Asian. Sure, on the Asian side, sure, the U.S. would like to, if the U.S. would like to continue to assure its allies, it has to do that. If it wants to maintain access to the maritime space, it would have to maintain a fairly robust position that could put it in tension with the PRC. But also, as we see the trade issues get addressed today, the question about the current U.S. deficit that remains. That has been an issue that Donald Trump had raised as a sort of major sticking point, both during his first run for office and his second run for office. So those things don't really get resolved with this, and that also those tie in with the trade relationship with various Asian partners. That for Southeast Asia, for instance. Most economies have a chronic trade surplus with the U.S. that that Trump may not like so much.
Mm. Now, in the same vein, how can Beijing leverage this improved ties with U.S. to advance its interests in the region?
So for Beijing, the improvement, if it buys it some time to stabilize its economy and then to make inroads in the rest of Asia to sort of sell itself as a stabilizer, it's been trying very hard to do that. I guess the hope is that maybe they can start shifting some of the rules, understandings in their own favor and put themselves in a more advantageous position economically and perhaps in terms of security as well.
All right. Thank you so much for those insights. That was Chong Ja Ian, Associate Professor at the Department of Political Science at the National University of Singapore.